Hey guys, this is AJ from AJ's Adventures, and today, and happy Marvel Monday, today's fanfic will be What If Captain America Was Never Frozen in Ice? So yeah, in the height of World War II, Steve Rogers, also known as Captain America, was leading a squad of soldiers on a mission behind enemy lines. They were tasked with taking out a heavily guarded enemy stronghold in the mountains of Europe. As they approached the stronghold, Steve's team came under heavy fire. Steve quickly rallied his troops, and led them in a daring charge towards the stronghold. As they closed in, Steve noticed that a group of enemy soldiers were preparing to launch a devastating counterattack. Men, we need to take out that old artillery before it destroys us all. I'll draw their fire, you take out the guns. The team nodded and Steve charged forward, shield in hand, and he closed in on the enemy. They unleashed a hail of bullets, but Steve's shield deflected them all. He reached the artillery and began taking out the guns one by one. The enemy soldiers were in disarray, and Steve's team took advantage of the confusion to breach the stronghold. They fought their way through the enemy ranks, and within minutes, the stronghold was theirs. Good work, men. We did it. The team cheered, and Steve knew that their mission was a success. He had saved countless lives and dealt a severe blow to the enemy. I'm proud of you all. Let's head back home. With the war raging on, Steve and his team continued to fight bravely and make a difference in the war effort. Steve never got frozen in ice, and he lived a normal life after the war. He never got the chance to become the iconic hero, but his legacy lives on through the stories that have been told about his heroism on the battlefield. Does Steve marry Peggy? It is unclear whether Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter would have gotten married if Steve had not been frozen in ice. In this scenario, Steve and Peggy continued to work together throughout the war, and over time, their friendship developed into a romantic relationship. After the war, Steve and Peggy decided to settle down and start a family. They got engaged and began planning their wedding. Peggy, I know we've been through a lot together, and I can't imagine going through life without you by my side. Will you marry me? Steve, I've loved you for so long. Of course I'll marry you. The wedding was a grand affair, attended by Steve's war buddies and Peggy's colleagues. Steve wore his dress uniform, and Peggy wore a white gown, looking radiant. They exchanged vows and in front of their closest friends and family, promising to love and cherish each other for the rest of their lives. After the wedding, Steve and Peggy settled in a small town where they raised their children. They lived a happy and peaceful life, surrounded by love and memories of their time together during the war. Steve and Peggy's love story is one of the greatest stories of love and sacrifice. They were heroes in the war, and heroes in their love for each other. They were truly meant to be together, and their love will always be remembered. What happened with Bucky Barnes? In this scenario, Bucky Barnes, Steve Rogers' best friend and sidekick, did not fall to his death, nor was he captured and brainwashed by Hydra. He continued to fight alongside Steve and the rest of the team throughout World War II. After the war, Bucky decided to leave the military and return to civilian life. He reconnected with Steve and Peggy, who were now married and had started a family. Bucky became a close friend of the family and often visited them. "Hey, Steve, how's it going? How's the married life treating you?" "It's great, Buck. Peggy and I are very happy. How about you?" What have you been up to?" "I've been good. I've been working as a mechanic. It's not as exciting as fighting in the war, but it's living. But it's a living." I'm glad you're so happy. I'm glad you're happy, Buck. You deserve it after everything we went through together." Bucky and Steve remained close friends throughout their lives, often reminiscing about their time in the war and the adventures they shared. Bucky never became the Winter Soldier and lived a normal life, and although he may have had some PTSD, he never had to deal with the trauma of his mind being controlled and the guilt of his actions while being controlled. As the years grew older, Bucky settled down and started a family of his own. He and Steve stayed in touch and continued to support each other through the good times and the bad. Bucky's story is one of a friendship, loyalty, and the sacrifices that soldiers make for their country and for their friends. Did Captain America still become an Avenger? If Steve Rogers had not been frozen in ice, it is unlikely that he would have become a member of the Avengers. The Avengers were a team of superheroes that were brought together by Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., in order to confront and defeat powerful threats that couldn't be handled by traditional means. Without the super soldier serum and being frozen in ice, Steve Rogers would not have acquired the extraordinary physical abilities that made him Captain America, and it's unlikely that he would have been recruited to join the Avengers. In this scenario, Steve Rogers had lived a normal life after the war. He settled down with Peggy and had a family, and he may have continued to work in the military or government roles, but without the super soldier serum, he would not have been considered for the Avengers. I'm proud of what we accomplished during the war, but I'm also looking forward to a peaceful life with Peggy and my family. Steve, I'm aware of your achievements in the war, but I'm afraid you're not the kind of person we're looking for to join the Avengers. We need extraordinary individuals with special abilities. I understand, Nick. I'll continue to serve my country in other ways. Without the extraordinary abilities of Captain America, Steve Rogers would not have been the ideal candidate to join the Avengers, but his legacy would still be remembered as a soldier, a hero, and a symbol of hope during one of the darkest periods in human history. What are the Avengers like without Captain America? Without Captain America, the Avengers would have been a very different team. Captain America was not only a founding member of the team, but also a leader, a mentor, and a moral compass for the other members. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., would have had to find other candidates to fill the role that Captain America had played within the team. The Avengers are a team of extraordinary individuals, but without Captain America, we lack a leader, a mentor, and a moral compass. We need to find someone who can fill that role. The team would have been composed of different members with different abilities and different motivations. The team dynamic would have been different, and the team's objectives and priorities may have also been different. Captain America was always the one who kept us together and reminded us of what was right. Without him, it's going to be harder to keep this team united. Indeed, Captain America was always the one who kept us together and reminded us of what was right. Without him, it's going to be a harder time. It's going to be harder to keep this team united. Indeed, Captain America was a noble and honorable warrior. His absence will be felt greatly. The Avengers would still have been a powerful force for good, but without Captain America's leadership, guidance, and moral compass, the team may have faced more challenges in terms of unity and direction. Did Steve Rogers die before the Avengers? It's possible that Steve Rogers could have passed away before the formation of the Avengers in this scenario. He lived a normal life after the war. He settled down with Peggy and had a family, and he may have continued to work in military or government roles. As Steve and Peggy grew older, they may have had to face challenges of aging and illness. Steve, I'm worried about you. You're not feeling well. I'm just tired, Peggy. That, I'm sure, it's nothing serious. Despite Steve's reassurances, Peggy's fears were well founded. Steve's health began to deteriorate, and he eventually passed away due to natural causes. Steve, my love, you will always be in my heart. Rest in peace. Steve's death would have been a great loss for Peggy and his family, as well as for his friends and comrades. His passing would have been mourned by many, and his memory would have been honored and respected. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., would have never had the chance to recruit him to join the Avengers, and the team would have never had the leadership, guidance, and moral compass that Steve Rogers, as Captain America, would have brought to the team. Steve's legacy would still be remembered as a soldier, a hero, and a symbol of hope during one of the darkest periods in human history. Hope you guys are enjoying this. What happened with Peggy after Steve died? After Steve's death, Peggy would have been devastated by the loss of her lifelong love and partner. She would have grieved deeply for Steve and would have struggled to come to terms with the reality of her loss. I can't believe he's gone. He was my everything. How can I go on without him? Despite her grief, Peggy would have been surrounded by family and friends who loved and cared for her. They would have helped her to find the strength to continue on and to find purpose and meaning in her life without Steve. Steve would have wanted me to be strong, to honor his memory by living a full and meaningful life. Peggy would have devoted herself to her family, her friends, and her community. She would have taken pride in the life she and Steve had built together, and would have cherished the memories they had shared. She would have shared stories of Steve's heroism and their love story, and would have been a mentor to many, especially young women, inspiring them to pursue their dreams and to never give up on love. Peggy's life would have been filled with love and purpose. Even after Steve's passing, she would have honored his memory by living a full and meaningful life. and her love for him would have remained alive in her heart forever. Would Bucky die before the Avengers? It's possible that Bucky Barnes could have passed away before the formation of the Avengers in this scenario. He did not fall to his death, nor was he captured and brainwashed by Hydra. But like everyone else, he would still have aged and could have died of natural causes. Steve, I don't feel well. I think it's time for me to see a doctor. Of course, Buck. I'll go with you. Despite his reassurances, Bucky's health began to deteriorate and he eventually passed away due to natural causes. Buck, my best friend, you will always be in my heart. Rest in peace. Bucky's death would have been a great loss for Steve and Peggy, as well as for his friends and family. His passing would have been mourned by many, and his memory would have been honored and respected. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., would have never had the chance to recruit him to join the Avengers, and the team would have never had the valuable member and friend that Bucky Barnes would have been. Bucky's legacy would still be remembered as a soldier, a loyal friend and hero who fought alongside Steve Rogers in one of the darkest periods in human history. What happens with Steve after Bucky dies? After Bucky's death, Steve would have been deeply affected by the loss of his best friend and sidekick. They had been through so much together, and Bucky's passing would have left a deep hole in Steve's heart. I can't believe he's gone. Bucky was my brother, my confidant. How can I go on without him? Despite his grief, Steve would have been surrounded by his family, Peggy, and friends who loved and cared for him. They would have helped him to find the strength and to continue on, and to find purpose and meaning in his life without Bucky. Bucky would have wanted me to be strong, to honor his memory by living a full and meaningful life. Steve would have devoted himself to his family and friends, sharing stories of Bucky's heroism and their friendship, and would have honored Bucky's memory by continuing to be a hero and a symbol of hope, helping others in need, fighting for justice and freedom. He would have continued to work in military or government roles, and would have been a mentor to many, especially young soldiers, inspiring them to be brave and to never give up on their friends. Steve's life would have been filled with life and purpose. Even after Bucky's passing, he would have honored his memory by living a full and meaningful life, and his friendship and love for Bucky would have remained alive in his heart forever. Did Captain America defeat Red Skull? Without the super soldier serum being frozen in ice, Steve Rogers would not have acquired the extraordinary abilities that made him Captain America, and it is unlikely that he would have been able to defeat the Red Skull, who is a powerful enemy and one of the main villains of the Captain America comics and movies. In this scenario, Steve Rogers would not have been able to confront the Red Skull in a physical battle, and their encounters would have been limited to a different form of opposition, such as espionage or diplomacy. Red Skull, you are a criminal, you are a criminal and a war criminal. Your actions have caused suffering to many innocent people, and it's my duty to stop you. Huh. You are nothing but a mortal man, Rogers. You can't defeat me. You may be right, but I'll make sure the world knows the truth about you, and the justice will be served. Without the physical abilities of Captain America, Steve Rogers would not have been able to defeat the Red Skull in a traditional sense, but he would still have been able to fight against him and his evil plans through intelligence and diplomacy. He would have used his skills, knowledge, and resources to expose the Red Skull's crimes and bring him to justice, working with other intelligence agencies and organizations. Steve's actions would have been focused on preventing the Red Skull from causing more harm to the innocent and bringing him to justice for his crimes, even if that meant capturing him and putting him on trial instead of defeating him in physical battle. What happens with Arnim Zola? Without Captain America being frozen in ice, Arnim Zola, the brilliant scientist and notorious enemy of Captain America, would have continued his nefarious activities. In this scenario, Steve Rogers would not have been able to directly confront Zola as Captain America, and their encounters would have been limited to a different form of opposition, such as espionage or diplomacy. Arnim Zola, your equipment and weapons have caused death and destruction to many innocent people, and it's my duty to stop you. Ha! You are nothing but a mortal man, Rogers. You can't defeat me. You may be right, but I'll make sure the world knows the truth about you, and the justice will be served. Steve would have used his intelligence and resources to gather information and evidence about Zola's activities, and would have worked with other intelligence agencies and organizations to try to stop Zola and bring him to justice. Steve would have used his skills and knowledge to gather information about Zola's plans, question operations and location, and would have shared it with the authorities. He would have used his influence to pressure the governments and international organizations to take action against Zola. Steve's actions would have been focused on preventing Zola from causing more harm to the innocent and bringing him to justice for his crimes, even if that meant capturing him and putting him on trial instead of defeating him in a physical battle. Arnim Zola's evil actions would have still caused much damage and destruction in the world, but Steve Rogers would have done everything in his power to stop him and bring him to justice. Did Howard Stark still die? It is possible that Howard Stark's death could have occurred differently or not at all in a scenario where Captain America was never frozen in ice. The details of Howard Stark's death in the comics and movies have varied over time, but it is commonly depicted as being a result of nefarious actions by his enemies. In this scenario, Steve Rogers would not have had the same close relationship with Howard Stark as Captain America, as Stark was a key figure in the development of the super soldier serum and the creation of Captain America. However, Steve and Howard could still have crossed paths and intersected in different ways. I'm sorry for your loss, Howard. He was a great man and a brilliant inventor. Howard was like a father to me. Steve, I can't believe he's gone. Dad, what happened? Who did this to you? I can't say for sure, son, but I always knew the risks of my work. I'm just glad I had the chance to work with you and Peggy. Steve, you were like a son to me. In this scenario, Howard Stark's death may have been caused by a different enemy or accident, or it may not have occurred at all. Steve Rogers would still have been aware of Howard Stark and his contributions to technology and the war effort, but their interactions would have been different. Steve would have mourned Howard's death if it occurred and would have paid his respects to him. What did Tony do after Howard's death? If Howard Stark's death occurred in a scenario where Captain America was never frozen in ice, Tony Stark would have been deeply affected by the loss of his father. In the comics and movies, Tony Stark has often been depicted as being driven by a desire to continue his father's legacy and make a positive impact on the world. So it's very likely that Tony would have taken up his father's mantle and continued his father's work in technology, defense, and philanthropology. Tony, I'm sorry for your loss. Your father was a great man and a brilliant inventor. Thanks, Steve. It's hard to believe he's gone, but I'm going to make sure his legacy lives on. I'm not going to take up his work and make sure his inventions and ideas see the light of day. I know Howard would be proud of you, Tony. He always spoke highly of you. I hope so, Peggy. I'll do everything in my power to make sure his work benefits humanity and makes the world a better place. In this scenario, Tony would have likely taken over Stark Industries and would have continued his father's work in technology and defense, and would have also continued his father's philanthropic efforts. He would have likely used the resources, knowledge, and influence to develop new technologies and to support scientific research and humanitarian causes in order to make the world a better place and honor his father's legacy. Did Steve Rogers still become Captain America? In a scenario where Steve Rogers was never frozen in ice, it is possible that he could still become Captain America, but the circumstances and events leading up to the transformation would likely be different. Instead of being selected for the Super Soldier Serum program because of his frail physical condition, Steve Rogers could have been recruited for his military background and leadership skills. He would have likely been put through a rigorous training program and given the Super Soldier Serum to enhance his physical abilities. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to serve my country and protect the innocent, General. That's what we like to hear, Rogers. We've been working on a new program to create a new type of soldier, one that can withstand the rigors of battle and lead our troops to victory. Are you up for the challenge? I am, sir. I'll do whatever it takes. Good. We're going to give you a serum that will enhance your physical abilities. We're calling it the Super Soldier Serum. Are you ready to become Captain America? I am, sir. I'm ready to be a symbol of hope for my country and the world. The dialogue and circumstances could be different from what we know from the comics and movies. But the main idea is that Steve Rogers could still become Captain America without being frozen in ice. He would have likely been given the serum that enhances his physical capabilities and become a symbol of hope for his country and the world. Would Steve Rogers still be given the Super Soldier Serum? Yes. In this alternate scenario, it is possible that Steve Rogers would still have the Super Soldier Serum. The circumstances of how he would obtain the serum may be different, but the result would be the same. Enhanced physical abilities that make him a formidable warrior. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to serve my country and protect the innocent general. That's what we like to hear, Rogers. We've been working on a new program to create a new type of soldier, one that can withstand the rigors of battle and lead our troops to victory. Are you up for the challenge? I am, sir. I'll do whatever it takes. Good. We're going to give you a serum that will enhance your physical capabilities. We are calling it the Super Soldier Serum. Are you ready to become Captain America? I am, sir. I'm ready to be a symbol of hope for my country and the world. In this alternate scenario, Steve would have likely been given the Super Soldier Serum as part of a military program to create a new type of soldier. The serum would have enhanced his abilities, his physical capabilities, making him a formidable warrior and a symbol of hope for his country and the world. The serum would likely have given Steve increased strength, agility, endurance, and heightened senses, making him a formidable warrior and leader on the battlefield. Did Bucky take the Super Soldier Serum too? In this alternate scenario, it is possible that Bucky Barnes could have also taken the Super Soldier Serum, depending on the circumstances of the story. If Bucky and Steve were both part of the same military program to create enhanced soldiers, then it is likely that Bucky would have been given the serum. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to serve my country, sir. That's what we like to hear, Barnes. We've been working on a new program to create a new type of soldier, one that can withstand the rigors of battle and lead our troops to victory. Are you up for the challenge? I am, sir. I'll do whatever it takes. Good. We're going to give you a serum that will enhance your physical capabilities. We're calling it the Super Soldier Serum. Are you ready to become a symbol of hope for your country and the world? I am, sir. I'm ready to be a part of something bigger than myself. In this alternate scenario, Bucky Barnes could have taken the Super Soldier Serum along with Steve Rogers, and the two of them could have become close friends and battle-hardened warriors, fighting side by side to protect their country and the world. With their enhanced physical abilities, they would have been a formidable team on the battlefield, working together to achieve their goals and protect the innocent. Alright, that was the end of that fanfic. So right now I'll do my close and say bye. Make sure to like, comment in the discussion tab, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye! Bye!